So it can be really exhausting when your energy is always being drained by the people that you're around or the environments that you're in, which is why in today's video, I want to talk about a couple of different ways that you can protect your energy so that it doesn't matter who you're around, it doesn't matter what you're doing, your energy is still protected, you're feeling good, you're not constantly drained by the people in your life or the environments that you're in. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nat and I help you step into the next level version of yourself. On this channel, we talk about mindset, feminine energy, and spirituality. So if that aligns with you, please hit the subscribe button. You can check out my courses, workbooks, bundles, or book a discovery call with me at the link in the description box. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I used to consider myself an introvert. It used to take me days to recover from social interactions, and I would constantly be feeling drained by hanging around other people. And I thought like, okay, that's just the way I am. Like, I'm an introvert, you know, I prefer to spend time alone. And while I do still enjoy spending time alone, I actually don't think I'm an introvert. And I've come to realize that I actually love being around people. It's just all about being around the right type of people, first of all, and making sure that my energy is protected so that I'm not constantly being drained by other people. So for the longest time, like I said, I thought I was an introvert, but really now I'm like, I love hanging out with people. As long as I feel good, as long as I'm really taking care of myself and my energy, then I love spending time with people. And it's crazy that I can even say that like I actually enjoy socializing with people, but it's really because I took the time to protect my energy and to call back my energy and to really make sure that my energy is my number one priority. And so in this video, I want to share with you 5 tips that you can start incorporating, things that you can start doing to protect your energy so that you're not always being drained by the people in your life or being in social situations. So number 1, spend some time intentionally pouring into your energy and getting to know yourself. So it's really important to figure out what drains your energy and what gives you energy. What does it feel like in your body when you are drained of your energy? And what does it feel like when you have a lot of energy? Really get to know yourself, get to know what it feels like to be lower in energy, what it feels like to have your energy be taken by other people. And also, while you're getting to know yourself and your energy, what drains your energy, what gives you energy, also start to notice what your energy feels like as opposed to what other people's energy feels like. So sometimes if you're around somebody who's like feeling some type of way, if you are an empath or if you're a people pleaser or if you're a sensitive person, you might start to take on that energy. And that used to happen to me too, where like somebody, you know, that I'm around was sad and then I would start to feel sad. In those moments, it's really important to just pause and like ask yourself, is this my energy or am I taking this on from somebody else? And this used to happen to me a lot with people who imposed their limitations on me. They would, you know, say something like, oh, I don't believe that you can do that, or I don't believe that that's possible, whatever. And then I would start to take on those beliefs as well. So then I had to kind of sit back and ask myself, am I taking on other people's energy, other people's perceptions of the world? And how can I choose to stay with my own energy? And another aspect to all of this as well is to really pour into your energy. So earlier this year, I was living at my parents' house, and although I love my family to death, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult living with your parents when you're an adult, you know, because you want that freedom to do things on your own, and yet you're still living with your parents, and just not having like your own environment to do whatever you want can be a little bit difficult sometimes, especially if your parents make comments about the things that you're doing or whatever it may be. And so I do have firsthand experience of what this is like, because when I was living with my parents, I wanted to create more for my life. I wanted to do more things for myself. I wanted to create my dream life, but I noticed that I had to do a lot more in order to maintain my positive energy, my high vibration, simply because of the environment that I was in. So I made it very, very intentional to create sacred space for myself and also sacred time for myself. So my room literally became my sanctuary. You know, I had my incense, I had all my books, I had like pictures on the wall and like my affirmations, and I, you know, would constantly be cleansing the energy and setting like positive intentions in my room so that anytime like I was in my room, I could come back to my own energy and remind myself of my own power. And like I said, like my room literally became my safe space. It became my place to just, whenever I was feeling low on energy, I would just go into my room and just like separate myself from it all and come back to myself. And just creating like that sacred space for myself in an environment that wasn't necessarily super supportive for the type of person that I wanted to become was so important. And then also another part of that as well is creating this time for yourself, sacred time for yourself. So for me, my sacred time to myself is my mornings. I love waking up early and doing the things to pour into my energy and fill up my own cup. And this is when it's really important to get to know yourself. What does it feel like to pour into yourself? What does it feel like when your cup is full? What does it feel like to have like high vibrational energy within your body? And what are the things that make you feel that way? So for me, it's spending time in nature. When I am directly under the sun, I feel just so present, and it really brings me back to myself. And then also spending my mornings away from my phone, like that makes me feel my absolute best when I'm not scrolling first thing in the morning. What else? Journaling makes me feel really good. Reading, talking to my friends. So just get very clear on the things that make you feel your best and make time for yourself to do these things so that you can fill up your energy. Because the more that you fill up your own energy and the more that you feel good in your energetic field, more difficult it is for people to affect your energy. Like I notice on the days where I feel the most drained by other people's energy, it's when I didn't take time for myself to pour into my energy, because then I have less space for other people. Because if somebody else is upset and I didn't really take the time to care for myself, it's a little bit more difficult for me to hold space for them because I haven't even held that space for myself. So making it very, very intentional to pour into yourself, to have a sacred space for yourself, to remind yourself of your own energy and your own power. You know, you can create like a little place in your room. Like if you look behind me, I have my altar, you know, I have my books, my incense, my crystals, everything, and a cute little butterfly painting that I painted. This is just like my sacred space for myself. There's so much intention, so much love and energy in just this one little area that like anytime I'm around it, I just feel like that positive energy. And now of course that I live in my own apartment, like my whole entire apartment is like my sanctuary, my safe space, and it's filled with so much positive intention and energy. But if you are living with your parents, living with your family still, then, or maybe even if you're sharing a room with somebody, then create a little tiny little space in the corner wherever you can of just intention, and just set the intention in that little space that anytime you're here, anytime you look at this little space of your room, you feel that positive intention and positive energy, and it reminds you of your power. Okay, number 2, the second way to protect your energy is to set the intention that your energy is always protected no matter what. Set the intention that your energy is your own energy. And a way that you can do this, especially if you're a visual person, is to imagine an energy bubble surrounding you. So if you're spending time around people that maybe are lower vibrational, or maybe they're going through something and you don't want to really be affected by it, just imagine yourself being surrounded by an energy bubble. You can also think of yourself as being in an astronaut suit, you know, like you can still see the world, you can still interact with the world, but you have your astronaut suit protecting you. So other people's energy can't like get into your energetic field because you're protected by this bubble. Another thing you can also do is call on your spirit guides, your ancestors, God, the universe, whatever it is that you resonate with, to protect your energy. And something else you can do as well is to carry crystals with you that remind you of your power. So for me, I always carry, first of all, I'm always wearing my tiger's eye and amethyst, and then this one I think is lapis lazuli, and then also amethyst and citrine. And then in my purse, I always have tiger's eye and carnelian, because especially like carnelian and citrine, those are for your solar plexus, which is all about your inner power. And so these crystals remind me of my power. And so I infuse my crystals with the intention of having my power and feeling confident within myself and having my energy to myself. I infuse the crystals with that intention, which let me know if you want me to make a video on crystals, infusing, you know, crystals with intention, all of that. I can definitely make a video on that as well. But yeah, just like using basically anything that you can to remind you of your power and your energy when you're out in public situations, or when you're socializing with people, or when you're in environments that you typically would feel drained after. So that way, when you do start to feel a little bit drained, or you're starting to feel any type of negative way, you can just go into your purse, look at your crystal, hold your crystal for a second, and feel your power being returned to you. Okay, so the third way to protect your energy is to set healthy boundaries. So if you notice that your energy is being drained by people that you're spending time with, set limits for yourself for how long you're going to spend time with them. I noticed that for myself, when I spend time with people that I'm not really that comfortable with, that's when my energy can be a little bit more drained, because I do feel like I'm still, getting comfortable with them. I'm still trying to figure out, the type of person they are, figure out who they are, attune my energy to them, all of that. It does take a little bit more energy out of me to spend time around people I'm not that comfortable with. So I set time for myself, like, okay, I'm just gonna go on a coffee date with this person, or I'm just gonna go get lunch or get dinner with this person. That way I don't have to spend like an entire day with them, because I know that that would really, really drain me. Whereas if it's somebody that I'm really comfortable with, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with spending an entire day with them because I'm comfortable with them. It doesn't take so much energy out of me. So this is when the first thing that I said really comes in hand, because you need to know yourself enough to know what your time limits are, what really drains you, and the situations, the environments that really drain you, so that you can set healthy boundaries for those situations, environments, people. So since I know that about myself, since I know that it does drain me a little bit more to spend time with people I'm not comfortable with, I have those boundaries in place where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna spend an entire day with somebody that I'm not super comfortable with, because that sounds exhausting. Also, another aspect to setting healthy boundaries is don't be afraid to say no to people. Don't be afraid to say no to things, especially if your energy is a little bit lower. Like, for example, there are times where my roommate wants to do something and I just don't really have the energy for it. And I notice a part of myself wanting to say yes just to please her, or just to, spend time with her, whatever it is. But then I'm like, really? Like, if I'm really being authentic to myself, no, I don't want to go. And it's okay to say no. Like, don't be afraid to say no, especially to preserve your energy. That's another thing too that I've really been getting a lot better at, is like when I'm out in social situations and somebody asks me to do something or whatever it may be, I'm starting to get more comfortable with saying no and being more authentic to myself. And the last part of setting healthy boundaries is to stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself if somebody is, taking so much of your energy in a way that's like for example, the type of people that really make me feel like my energy is drained is people who are very needy and who ask for so much, or who are constantly like take. And so in those moments, like, I really need to stand up for myself and set those boundaries where I'm like, no, like, I'm not gonna do XYZ for you. Like, you can do it. Obviously say it in like a nicer way, but just not being afraid to stand up for yourself, so that you're not giving more than you're receiving, essentially, and you're not constantly being drained by the people in your life, because that's something that I notice that really drains my energy, is when I'm giving more than I'm receiving in a relationship or a friendship. Like, that's very exhausting, because I feel like it's very one-sided. And when I feel like it's one-sided, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, and then it's exhausting being around that type of person. So it's really important for me to stand up for myself and set those healthy boundaries so that I can preserve my energy and also enjoy being around that person, because it's not fun being around a person who's constantly taking, But it's up to you to set those boundaries, because if you don't set those boundaries, then people are just going to continue to push and push and push. So set those boundaries, stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to say no. Remember, your energy is your most valuable currency. Like, your energy comes first. So really tune into yourself, figure out, like I said, what drains you, what gives you energy, and set those boundaries. Okay, number 4, the fourth way to protect your energy is to practice awareness when you're out in public, or when you're in those situations where your energy gets drained. So oftentimes when I'm in social situations, because I used to struggle with social anxiety, and so what I noticed is, like, when I was out in social situations, like, I would start to feel anxious because I was so in my head. I wasn't really in the present moment. And then that's why social situations became so exhausting, because I was just constantly feeling like so much anxiety and not really fully being present and like in the moment. So what I started to do is like just bring more awareness to my breath and to my body. And so what you can do is, when you're out in public, like literally while you're sitting, like listening to somebody talk, just like bring awareness to your breath. Bring awareness to your breath, even just right now in this moment. Bring awareness to your breath. Because even like in social situations, ooh, that calmed me down. even in social situations, because I would feel that anxiety, sometimes I would hold my breath, and then like that would just make the anxiety worse. So then bringing awareness to my breath and practicing that presence would then bring me back to myself and bring me back to the intention that I set for myself. And when you practice more awareness and more presence when you're out in public, it's easier to tune into yourself so that you can honor your energy levels. Like, for example, because I was dealing with social anxiety and always being in my head and feeling like anxious when I'm out in public or around people, I would go the entire day not even really being aware that I was feeling that way. And then by the end of the day, I would feel drained, I would feel exhausted, or I would say yes to things even though I didn't even want to do it in that moment. So when you bring more awareness and more presence to yourself when you're out in public, when you're out in social situations, you're able to tune into your energy levels and actually ask yourself, okay, how am I feeling in this moment? Do I feel like going home? Do I want to continue hanging out with this person? Should I, maybe take a break a little bit? I don't know. Whatever it is that you need to do to bring yourself back and fill your energy back up, really honor and tune into your energy levels and do what's best for yourself so that you don't feel completely drained by the end of the day. Okay, number 5, the 5th way to protect your energy is to be authentic to yourself and stop people pleasing. So this was a big one for me when I realized that the reason that I was so drained was because I wasn't being authentic to myself, or I was people pleasing or trying to get people to like me. Because it is exhausting when you're not being yourself. It's exhausting when you're putting up a facade, and it's not like you're doing it intentionally. When you're authentically yourself, it doesn't take as much energy out of you because you're just being you. You're just comfortable with who you are, you're comfortable with the way you are, with the person you are, and that's a journey. This isn't like something that you just decide. I mean, you can just decide it and that's what starts your journey, but it does take time, it does take practice of like being out in social situations and being aware of your energy, being aware of where you are people pleasing, where you are being inauthentic to yourself, and then tuning in those moments and being like, okay, how can I be more myself? How can I be more authentic to myself? How can I speak up more for myself and set those boundaries and honor myself? And this is something that I'm still working on to this day, is like being authentic to myself and not changing who I am depending who I'm with. Because that's something that I used to do a lot, and that is people pleasing 101 is changing who you are depending on who you're with. And that can be exhausting, because I reached a point a couple of years ago where I noticed that I was doing that, and I reached a point where I was like, who am I? Genuinely, who actually am I? Because if I'm such a different person with every single person that I'm with, then who is my authentic self? What are my actual opinions? What are my actual beliefs? Because if I'm always picking up on other people's opinions and other people's beliefs, then who am I? And once I realized that, I was like, okay, that's actually what started like my whole journey into figuring out who I am, figuring out who my authentic self is. And then now it's about actually putting that into practice and making sure that I'm continuing to be authentic to myself. And I always can tell when I am people pleasing based on my energy levels. Because if I'm drained after, spending time with somebody, then I know that I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't being true to who I really am. And a lot of that isn't really conscious. So don't beat yourself up. Like if you, are that type of person as well, or if you have those tendencies as well, just recognize that you are like that and start to take the steps to be more authentic to yourself. But all of this ties back into number 1, is getting to know yourself, getting to know your energy levels so that you can be authentic to yourself. Because you can't be authentic to yourself if you don't even know who you are. If you don't even know what you like, or what makes you feel good, what makes you feel drained. And so all 5 of these tips go hand in hand. First, like spending time getting to know yourself, spending time pouring into your own energy, pouring into your own cup, setting that intention that your energy is always protected. And then also consciously making sure that you're being as authentic to yourself as possible and honoring who you really are, honoring your energy levels. So I really hope that this video helped you. I know I was kind of a little bit all over the place, but I was just sharing my personal experience with all of this, how I was able to really get to a point where I don't feel as drained when I'm around people. I do notice that sometimes I do still feel a little bit drained, and it's all just a learning lesson, really. It's all just a process of getting to know myself even more and more, where I'm like, okay, that makes me feel drained. That doesn't make me feel drained. But if I still want to spend time around people or situations that have made me feel drained in the past, then it's just about like, okay, what can I do differently so that I don't feel that way? Or what boundaries can I set so that I feel better? So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below if this was helpful, if you want to know anything else, if you have any other questions about protecting your energy. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.